2011 has been shaping up as a year of weather extremes in the United States. It's even making some longtime weather observers sit up and notice.
Some of the recent heat waves have been right up there among some of the most dramatic observed heat waves in recent years, such as the 100-plus weather in the mid-Atlantic and New England even in late July. The flooding on the Missouri, unprecedented in a number of locations. And so, yeah, it has been extreme. Although, again, I say, if you go back to other years, you'll find unprecedented extremes in different parts of the country for different sets of reasons. So there's always extremes going on, but this year is attention-getting.
The record high temperatures are contributing to bone-dry conditions that have dried up pastures in the southern part of the country and have caused hay prices to soar.
Many correlations of drought and heat when it comes to the summertime. A couple reasons why that's the case. When vegetation is sparse, when the ground is dry, the energy from the sun immediately heats up the surface and the air is heated from the ground up. When the vegetation is growing, grass is green, vegetation lush, then a lot of that energy goes into evaporating water and growing the vegetation, and the air doesn't heat up so much. Now it's humid and uncomfortable, but doesn't heat up as much. And so this year in the south central parts of the country has been the core of the heat wave, and heat has emanated out from there. It's been very much related to this dry, sparse vegetation impacts of the recent drought.
And even with all their forecasting, Nolan and other experts are not sure if we've reached the bottom of the current drought.
We know some of the really big droughts. You look at the 1930s, the 1950s, they did have multi-year persistence. The current drought, as it relates to conditions in Texas, New Mexico, and adjacent areas, is of a severity equal to, or in some cases even greater than, drought conditions experienced in the 30s and 50s. Not quite as widespread in area. So there's this sense that, wow, this is similar to some of the droughts of the past that had multi-year duration. But the fact of the matter is that weather patterns change abruptly, and we're not always able to have a handle on that months in advance.
This current drought is reminding some people of the Dust Bowl of the 1930s, when years of very dry conditions led to widespread soil erosion. But Nolan says that comparison is not accurate.
There are vulnerable areas of the Great Plains where all it takes is a couple of years of way below average precipitation and above average temperatures, where soil conditions, you have more sandy soils, and where we can start seeing soil erosion like we have in the past. Fortunately, for most areas, the land management changes that we've made since the 1930s are helping hold the ground in place much better. I don't think we're going to see a repeat of the Dust Bowl era. That doesn't mean we aren't going to see some dust storms, because we saw them already this year, just not of the same magnitude.
One reason climatologists are able to keep such close track of weather conditions is thanks to volunteers. Many of them ranchers and cattlemen across the country who regularly check their rain gauges and send in their data as part of the National Weather Service Cooperative Observer Network. That information gives officials an increasingly clearer picture of regional climate conditions.
Now we're starting to see just how much variation there is at the local scale. We would love to have hundreds more volunteers across the country helping, and it's something most cattlemen are doing already, checking rain gauges and seeing how that relates to their forage production. But share the data so that we can all learn what's going on. It's really great.
Reporting from Fort Collins, Colorado, I'm Brad Bulliff for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Now, you can become part of the nationwide volunteer network of weather watchers who track the variable weather that impacts you, your neighbors, and the entire country. For more information, just visit our website at cattlementocattlemen.org. There's no doubt about it. In terms of the weather, this year has been one for the record books. We recently had the chance to ask cattlemen about the weather and its impact on their operations.
Miserable. Very, very hot, very, very dry. A lot of fires, a lot of Wind and a lot of dust.
Dry, real dry. We've had probably less than 3 inches this year, total rainfall. Crops suffered, livestock has suffered, a lot of liquidation going on. It's a pretty sad situation for rainfall.
We have no weather in our area. We haven't had but 1/4 inch of rain since last October. And so the steers are having to go. They're leaving in the next couple of weeks. So then we won't even have an operation. So it's critical.
We're pretty dry. It seems like that in Missouri, pretty much south of the Missouri River, you get into very dry conditions. And as you go further south into the Boot Heel, into the Ozarks, it's extremely dry.
Well, currently our ranch runs right along the Mouse River, which is flooded there completely. It's at the all-time high. So currently our ground is all flooded. The hayland has got 3 to 4 feet of water on it. We've lost quite a bit of pasture. The farm ground up in that area, we probably got about 50% of normal in. So we're really, really wet.
We've had the best year. Basically, the winter was cold and the snow got pretty hard, but we had above normal moisture then, and through the summer, we've had the best summer that we've had since '85, probably.
If you're one of the many cattlemen who have been affected by the severe weather and are in need of hay or pasture, you can locate additional resources by visiting our website at cattlementocattlemen.org.